Good morning everyone, and welcome back to the farm. Today's yet another video that I get to start with some good news and some bad news. The good news is our 9400 International truck is back at the farm, and the problem was not as bad as we were anticipating.
You've always got to count your blessings when you're pleasantly surprised. We thought that it had a cracked head here on this Cummins. It did not in fact have that problem. The oil cooler had gone out. What that means is essentially the radiator that cools the oil runs through it and there's coolant that runs outside of it. That had busted on the inside and the oil was getting into the coolant, which is also a sign of some kind of major engine problem. It was just a minor problem, although some would say that's a major problem as well, but that was a lot cheaper to fix than that would have been.
Before I really bring out the pessimism, everyone make sure you like the video and leave a comment down below. It is one of the cheapest and easiest ways that you can support the channel. If you want to do something a little bit extra, check out the aTrippyFarmer merch down below in the description. Partner with Farm Focus to bring you guys some awesome gear. I'm appreciative of all of you who watch the videos and support the channel, no matter how big or how small. Let's get to work. So I stopped by the John Deere dealership this morning to see how our S780 was progressing. They had the part come in yesterday. I thought they'd probably be tearing into it and putting the new one on. Contrary to what I thought I was going to see, they hadn't taken any hoses off or unbolted anything at all. This is probably not their decision. They really have to run everything with a problem like this through Deere themselves. They have support specialists that really kind of pull the strings, the puppet masters, of replacing things on a brand new combine, especially a part failure that isn't common. We may not see this combine for another week, and still no sign of a replacement or loaner combine for our operation to run. I guess we would have been lucky if our combine broke down a couple days earlier, because we would have been higher up in line and probably not been the person shorted on a loaner. As opposed to staying here and fighting an uphill battle trying to combine these green stem 3.9 beans, we're going to move to a different field to the south about 7 or 8 miles. We think it'll cut a little bit better. They're much drier looking, although they're just a 3/8, so not much of a difference between a 3.9. We're going to unhook this. I'm going to dump off the remainder of the grain cart. We're going to move down south. That's not how I want to start the day. Oh.
I made a slight miscalculation as the grain cart driver yesterday when I sent Jeff home. I thought I didn't have enough to even load him because you need about 300 bushel. And I got in and realized I've got 300 bushel on the grain cart. That's never been my strong suit.
Nothing we can do about that. Combine's gone. We're not cutting any more beans here. Next field's a different split.
Oh no. We got Marty'd. Huh. You took your remote.
Okay. Bye.
See ya. It's really not a bad habit to take the key fob out of the truck by any means, because if you go inside somewhere, if you're in town or gas station or at a dealership, you don't want to leave your key fob sitting on the dash because someone can just hop in, hit the engine, and drive off. When you're out in the field like this though, you might as well just set it on top in the console or something. When I get in my truck in the morning, it's a key fob as well. I just set that thing in there and that's where it's going to stay for the rest of the day. When I get home at night, I take it out, lock the truck, repeat the next day. The keyless system just isn't quite as intuitive as an actual key itself because it's very easy to remove from the vehicle and not even realize you did it. Might as well take advantage of this opportunity to grease the grain cart the old school way. Only got about 2 inches of grease, which is probably not enough. Nice thing about this grain cart is you can turn the drive shaft by hand when the auger's not unfolded. I greased about 3/4 of the essentials on the grain cart. Chris showed up with the key fob and I ran out of grease. So we're headed south. To get the head going the right direction to hook it up with ease, I had to cut through Neoga, and I made a wrong turn there, so I had to pull up my map on my phone and get lined up right. But we made it, no worries. Dad's just now hopping down the road. We'll unhook those, he'll back into the field, and we'll pull up, and you'll just pick the head up, and we'll be ready to go.
and we're assuming that the beans are going to cut. The unfortunate consequence of coming all the way down here to test these beans, we'll probably stay here until they cut. If it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, just the price we have to pay because we don't want to move back here again. Not that it was that far. Oh gosh. Blocking traffic. There's still dew on the grass, which means those beans are probably wet. What you're about to witness is a clinic, an educational masterpiece on how to back up an all-wheel steer head cart. Nope. Going forward. Okay, now take notes. It's a squirrely little thing, jeez. That went much better than I thought it was going to. These beans are cutting better at 9 a.m. than those beans yesterday were at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Those eagles? No. Some kind of pelican. Fake news. Stolen valor. We're taking a tiny bit of time to let those soybeans dry off. They're running about 16 to 17%, so maybe 2 hours before they'll cut because they're going to the local elevator. There's no way we can get them to test right regardless of what we do on the trucks. We're gonna go eat lunch because that's the quickest way to get your soybeans to dry. As is tradition, Dad says we're gonna wait an hour or 2 to cut beans, and then 15 minutes later I get the call, hey, I'm headed down to the combine. No way to predict what he's gonna do, but I should have known better. He usually does that. He says it's gonna be a lot longer than it is. I think he gets a little antsy, puts his foot on the pedal and goes. I did use a sliver of my time to sneak over to the John Deere dealership and look at our S780. They have started pulling it apart. I was somewhat mistaken earlier. They're only replacing the hydrostat in the charge pump, which I think are very closely related or may even be the same part. They're not replacing other pumps on the stack. What they are doing is replacing the motor down on the drivetrain. So that hydraulic motor that spins the ProDrive transmission, they're putting a new one of those on. The pump and motor they're replacing are part of the same system, so I think they're just gonna do both of them, or at least that's what Deere told them to do. With a new combine like that, warranty problem, an unusual defect, Deere itself, as in over in Moline, has a lot more of a role in what happens here in Mattoon at the shop versus our local dealership. They turn the wrenches, Deere kind of gives them instructions on what they want to do. Nothing quite as nice as going down a freshly oiled and rocked road when it's 90+ degrees outside. Whew. Thank goodness there were no cars behind me. I also didn't look, so I have no idea if there were, but they probably wouldn't enjoy getting all those rocks thrown on them. Finish my greasing real quick. The deer crossing the prairie. There goes my bonus. Just ran over 5 bean plants. Hope the boss doesn't see. Those beans that were growing next to the tree line are a little bit wet, and there's some pods in there. It is a good day to park in the shade. I always brag about how good of an employee I am. I shut the grain cart off, save hours on the tractor. Well, that no longer applies once the temperature is over 85. The tractor stays on because that's just the cost of doing business. Got to keep your grain cart driver happy. And I'd be sweating bullets in here if this air conditioning was not running. It's a busy road here.
I know it. It's almost retired people.
The elevator in Neoga, TGM or Total Grain Marketing, which is literally a mile to the southeast of here, is so slow that we're taking this grain 20 miles to the north and getting back faster than if we went to the one down the road. That just shows you how a bottleneck at the elevator can really lose you bushels. Not that a measly field of soybeans is really that big of a deal at all, but it's the principle. And it seems like just as quick as we got to this field, it is done. Just imagine if we had both combines. This would have been like a 10-minute project. I don't know where we're going, but it's definitely to the north because this is our farthest south farm. The pickup truck and the head cart are staged and ready to head out to the next field. Dad is crossing that waterway with a pretty darn full hopper of beans right now. He finished up the backside. He's gonna put those on the grain cart, put the head on that, and then move to a field, which I have no idea where, but I'll figure it out. Just follow the combine. That's an easy way to get rid of some shrubbery. Ready to road. It sounds like we're headed back south of the main farm into those tough 3.9s. Hopefully they're a little bit more pliable today. We're in transport mode. Oh, so many rocks. Hey, I remember this place. It's almost as if we were just here. Bean cutting can be a little sporadic. Well, that wasn't really that well thought out. Better pull it out of the way so Dad can cut this 5 square foot of beans. Much better. Making use of a very common grain cart operator strategy. I'm following the combine around the outside of the field, even though I know he'll be able to make it around, and he'll probably end up dumping exactly where I pulled into the field at. If you guys want lessons on how to do this efficiently, I'm here all week, and I was definitely correct. It was a complete waste of fuel. But what kind of grain cart driver would I be if I didn't do some silly things? Second rule of grain carting is to always park in the combine operator's way. That ought to satisfy that requirement. Right to the west of our main farmstead, we have an old 1.5 acre pasture. We're still working on those 3.9 Pioneer beans. They're adjacent here directly, about 50 feet. We planted these all with 38 XF1 Asgrow XtendFlex beans. You could almost consider this a plot. They look pretty good. I'm interested to see how they yield, especially because we've got those 3.9s directly over there. Pretty good comparison here. Although this is a pasture, so it's very fertile from years of hog and cattle manure. Height does not mean anything on soybean plants, but pod count does. I pulled one of these plants out here about a month ago, and there was 90 pods on them. Maybe I got a lucky draw. That's a possibility. They look really good, and they sound like they're giving the combine quite the workout. Look at these 4 bean pods. They look like they're gonna pop out. And the beans are huge. I always like to keep an extra handheld Midland radio in the tractor cab, so if I hop out, I turn it on, and I'll know pretty quickly if I'm doing something that the combine operator does not like. And then I just sit here and ignore them. At least I have the information. We don't do any legitimate plots here on this farm to compare anything. I wish we had some data of some Extend, XtendFlex, and Enlist soybeans all split across the same field, utilizing the same herbicide program, and see what the yield difference is. Because I really want to know, do the Enlist stack up to the XtendFlex or vice versa? The final weight on this patch is 6,840. Dad is very sure that it's 1.4 acres, so that puts our yield at just over 81. But since it's a plot, you do have to round up on the tenths place, so these made 90. So Asgrow beans made 90 here. I feel like a seed dealer now. Shoot, they would have made 100 plus if we wouldn't have left those. Darn it. It seemed like a fitting time and place to empty out my trash bin. And by trash bin, I mean behind my seat of the tractor. Kind of look like a slob right now. Quite possibly dying of boredom right now. The question is, what do I want to watch on Netflix? Desperate Housewives or Grey's Anatomy? Duty calls. Where are you guys?
Behind that barn.
Nice.
Hey, Chris, are you taking a nap?
I'm being heckled right now by my nephews over the radios. No, but I can. You guys got enough time for me to take a nap?
I wasn't asking you, I was asking Chris.
He was asking Chris. There's a good possibility. Oh, it's a waiting game. It's such a pain having one combine. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, man.
Hopefully she radios me when the combine's full. There's my bullies giving me menacing looks. I just got off the phone with our John Deere dealership, and it's the first time we've had a decent turn of events. They said that the combine's put back together, both the pump and the motor on there. That's not to be mistaken for the engine. A motor and an engine are different. The motor they replaced is down there on the ProDrive transmission. It's what hydraulically drives the wheels. So they said they've got to put back together. They want to double check in the morning that everything's square. They're going to test it a little bit around their lot, and then they're going to let us have it. I want to give a big shout out though to our dealership, Alliance Tractor here in Mattoon. Nothing good about the process when something breaks down like that. I know they've worked very hard to make sure this machine got repaired and back to us. It is definitely unfortunate that they did not have a loaner combine. Really nothing we can do about that, especially given the circumstances around supply, manufacturing, all that. You can't really be surprised. They also made a trip last night to Charleston, Missouri. I don't know how far away that is, but it's at least a couple hours to get that motor to put on because Deere wanted them to. So thanks to those guys. I guess I shouldn't thank them yet because the combine's not here at our farm. And Lenny's here. They've got the auger lifted out of the bean bin, so I would say it's getting pretty close to full. Might as well help Chris out. Don't have a whole lot going on. Just diagnosing some tech problems. Kids these days, they just start with technology and they know what they're doing. Lenny, I've never had this page pulled up before. What did you learn? Okay, he's getting bored, he's going for the entertainment. He says, buy Midland radios. Sir, have you had too much milk to drink? My neck's starting to hurt from looking over that other shoulder, so I'm just using this now. Looks like we're jumping across the drainage ditch here to see if these beans are any drier. For some reason, the remainder of the beans to the east of our grain site seem to be very high in moisture. Open her up. I left the door open, taking Lenny down from the tractor, and now it's full of bugs because of all my bright screens. Get out of here! We're watching Grant Hilbert's Farming Adventures tonight. Grant just said that he's been so distracted farming that he's only eaten breakfast and he's forgotten to eat lunch and dinner every day. I've eaten breakfast, 2 lunches, an early dinner, and a late dinner by now. You'll get it figured out, Grant. I had to turn my lights on to make sure I didn't catch one of these power poles after dark. It'd be a shocking way to start the night. Sorry, neighbors. Hope you're not asleep already. Dumping after dark. It's very dusty. The LEDs help me see, but by nighttime I'm just getting warmed up. That's a good load. And the waiting game begins again. At least we would have watched those fancy combine LEDs. Why doesn't every machine have a bug zapper on it? That seems like $1 million idea. Just get one of those nice things you can sit here and just go bzz, 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 bzz. Combine has been caught, and now we relax. I'm here if you need me. This is a dangerous game to be playing here. I probably shouldn't sneak up on Dad and turn my lights on. He may be looking for some new pants. It really stinks knowing that what we've accomplished in this last 4 days of cutting soybeans with one combine would probably be 2 easy days work if we had the 670 and the 780. That 780 accounted for 2/3 of our capacity. This combine over here is easily doing 10, 11, maybe 12 acres an hour. That 780 was doing 20, 21, or 22 acres per hour. So our harvesting abilities had really been kneecapped, so to speak. Just creeping through the field. It's that time of night, cutting and unloading at 2.5 miles an hour. Maybe it's because the beans are high yielding? One can hope. Man, this makes me realize I need to clean my windows. Oh, there's a few green beans in there. Butterbean here, butterbean there. And some pods. Not the cleanest sample, but everyone keep in mind, I'll always say, if it weighs, it pays. We'll even sell stems if we have to. It's getting real difficult to process those green stem soybeans. Just like last night, that combine's just howling out there. Other than your combine lugging along, you gotta love this time of night during harvest season. It's 75 degrees, Absolutely beautiful outside. Not a cloud in the sky.
If you want to know what that noise the combine's making right now is, kind of sounds like it's cutting through an apple orchard. That's the sound of quitting time.
Woo, that's a pretty rig. Just need some tracks on that cart and we'd be set.
I've got just enough soybeans on the grain cart to load the semi. The field entrance is a little too wet. We found that out with Chris, or I didn't find it out. Jeff noticed that, so we didn't pull the semi in the field. We learned from our mistake a couple days ago over on our railroad farm. That being said, Dad also does not want to cross that drainage ditch with a loaded grain cart. It quite possibly could challenge the structural integrity of our machinery and equipment here. So I'm going to take this load down the road. I've only got a half mile to go, so I'm just going to crawl. It's pretty heavy. I don't want to destroy the road, and I don't want to tear up the grain cart. Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miles an hour.
Only 50,000 pounds. Between you and I've taken much heavier loads much faster down the road with this grain cart. Here we take it easy tonight. We only run one combine. No reason to get ourselves in a predicament when we don't even need to be in a hurry.
That was no problem at all.
Jeff is nowhere to be found.
That right there is how you load a truck. I was telling you, I'm just getting warmed up. I'm a night owl.
I guess there's room for 2 more bushels right there. Much more of my pace. Full speed.
We're still running. I thought we'd be done by now. The beans must still be testing and not stopping the combine completely, or at least the draper. The combine's wrapping up over to the east in the small part of that field. I'm catching up on all my clerical work here in the cab. Gotta make sure I get all my scale weights off the window so we can separate things out. Still have not completed a field, nor do I have cumulative data to tell you any kind of yields other than that tiny little 1.4 acre patch. I am trying to keep you posted, but hard to do that when I don't have the data. I could speculate, but what good does that do for anyone? Alrighty folks, looks like we're turning the keys off for the evening. I'm very excited for tomorrow because supposedly the beast is going to be back in action. The dealership said they want to verify a few things before they send us home with the combine. Should be here though. Everyone, I appreciate you tuning in. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you want to see more, and comment down below if you have any questions. You know I love to talk about farming. Have a great day everyone. Peace!